Hello, good morning. Thanks for coming in. I'm Kevin Cott. This morning I have the pleasure of talking with Sherry Lowry, one of the foremost coaches in the Austin area, a member of the ICF Austin chapter. Sherry's coaching practice focuses on business mentoring of coaches and founders mentoring and mentoring of business coaches. So overall, what would you say was your biggest challenge when you started coaching?
I think it's everybody's biggest challenge, probably even to today. What do coaches actually do in a session to session, week to week, in the real encounter with the clients? And of course, that's what the training was all about, but we were encouraged in those days, and I think that's probably true today, to begin real coaching work and to engage with clients as early as we could. I had thought of my therapy business as a practice. Well, there was no practice in the coaching part. It was not a practice. I was not practicing. This was the real thing. This was actually engagement, pretty much without rules or structure at that early point. And that was more exciting to me than intimidating at the time. And so I think that was a real positive, because I began from the very, very beginning calling my coaching business a business, thinking of it as a business. There were models for small business. There were no models for a coaching practice. And that was a little controversial when I actually started telling people that I had that mindset, because a lot of people who came into coaching then and even now think of themselves as being in a helping profession. I knew I was in a business profession. So I think I had a little leg up early on. So I've had a lot of arguments about that, by the way, but never with experienced coaches and established coaches. It's always with the newcomers.
When you work with business leaders like you do a lot, or community leaders, what is often their overall purpose in the journey with you?
All right. Well, my primary specialty, because of my own background, is with business owners and founders, sometimes co-founders and founding teams, or teams that expand beyond founding as they grow. And then my other kind of special niche is working with, for the most part, experienced coaches who are moving to we have 3 levels of credentials, and when they're moving to a new level of credentialing, I have a coach, kind of a mentoring niche to help prepare them for those examinations and the live coaching demos and the recordings and things like that. They want a positive change or an expansion or a refinement of what they're already doing. For the most part, they can often be mentors to their staff and maybe sometime even in their industry. And they did not expect, when they developed their business, because sometimes it grew very quickly and sometimes it just grew very steadily and solidly, they did not expect, as an owner and founder or a partner, to get restless and to start having that "is this all there is" kind of feeling, because they were actually going to the business they had dreamed about every day. They had actually built it from the ground up the way they wanted to build it, and they did not know that that would run out of sufficient steam to hold their interest beyond a certain point. And so normally they're wanting something changed, and it kind of rattles the rafters if they talk about it at home, because of what they just went through over the years to build what they have. And very often they have 1 or 2 younger children still, or maybe multiple levels of graduate school still ahead for their family. And they didn't anticipate this. And that's one of the main reasons they referred to me, is like, go talk to Sherry. She won't pitch you, but she'll help you understand what's going on, and she's maybe also can connect you to someone who wants to expand or change similarly to you, and possibly you don't have to just keep growing, because most of my signature for a long time was my clients already know that more is not the answer. Very often clients think they want one thing, I've had a lot of training with Julio Olaya, who's from Chile, and his mantra is bust the story. You know, don't fall for the story, don't buy it. If they've bought it, it's especially important you not buy the story, because once you get into the relationship and the work, you will find there are other stories, and some of them become more predominant. So he was the first one that introduced me to the bust the story.
What's the most significant lesson that you've learned from a client?
Anyway, those are ongoing. I think the most abrupt one that was a huge wake-up call for me is the only time I've been just outright fired. I thought of myself as a really excellent listener. About 3 or 4 sessions in, and we had an agreement, non-legally binding, but an agreement to work all out together for her benefit for 12 sessions. And so I just flat outright read the riot act about what a terrible listener I was and how we were done, and she wanted a refund. It humiliated me, number one. It surprised me, but it really got me to pay attention to the secondarily most important thing to this day. The significance and the importance of matching yourself in advance and the client for a number of things: expectations, how the learning style, how they learn best, and how I actually am a resource best, and asking really more hard questions early on, even before you've kind of begun to bond and before there's any real trust. That stuff just has to get on the table.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, Sherry, thanks so much for chatting with me today. I appreciate it. I'd like to talk more and more.
We'll get to, fortunately, you and I will get a chance to do that.
Absolutely.
It's part of what the Austin ICF, the Greater Austin chapter, actually offers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure.